Hello, you're watching Talking Europe on France 24. I'm Catherine Nicholson. Now, in the week that the United States said goodbye to Donald Trump and swore in new President Joe Biden, Europeans are wondering what all this might mean for them. There are still questions about whether there will be new laws and rules for social media after the bans on Donald Trump, an issue where the European Commission says it has some answers. Well, we'll be discussing this and plenty more today with Vera Jourova, Vice-President of the European Commission, in charge of the Values and Transparency portfolio. Vera Jourova joining us there from Brussels. Thank you for being our guest today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here.
So I'd like to start with the inauguration on Wednesday of Joe Biden as the latest US president. What is this going to mean for Europe?
I think for Europe this is a very good news, and as Ursula von der Leyen put it, America is back and we have big expectations that we might start a new enriched partnership after some time of uncertainty, and that we have big plans with America in 4 different fields which we already declared before the inauguration. It should be security, climate change, of course, fight against COVID, and also democracy and technologies which should serve the people and not the other way around. So plenty of global challenges where Europe and America can definitely and should definitely work together.
You mentioned there the social media issue, of course, in reference to the storming of the US Capitol. In a recent interview you gave with a German newspaper, you said it's a moment of truth for the big social networks like Facebook and Twitter. They have taken this quite strong action, though, suspending or banning Donald Trump. Is that not enough?
I think at that moment they could not do otherwise, because Donald Trump was indeed spreading the cause for violence and for violent action. And it proved to be efficient because we saw the shocking pictures from Capitol. So short term, the networks, the platforms had to react because obviously they didn't want to be the instruments for such violence. And but long term, I think that we all have to think about what we want, because I think that what we see on internet should be, if at all, regulated by the law and not by the internal rules of private companies. This is what I meant also in my interview in German press.
One issue causing real concern about public health is fake news around COVID-19 vaccines, seen here in France, at least, to be increasing anti-vaccine sentiment. Vera Jourova, I'd like you, me and the viewers to take a look at one example together, debunked for us by Mathilde Benezet from France 24's Europe team.
Does Bill Gates want to implant us all with 5G microchips alongside the COVID-19 vaccine? Internet users have accused the billionaire of deliberately spreading the virus in order to control the world's population using geo-localized 5G microchips. And celebrities haven't been immune to spreading the rumours. In May 2020, the French actress Juliette Binoche shared with her 300,000 Instagram followers the following message.
These are operations international finance groups, mostly American, have been organizing for years. They're manipulating us without wanting to sound paranoid. The vaccines they're working on are a part of it. No to microchip implants for everyone. No to Bill Gates' operations. No to 5G.
This is completely false. It's a conspiracy theory that's concocted from a deliberate mix of 3 separate initiatives financed by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Firstly, there's the race to find a vaccine against COVID, a scientific endeavour to which Bill Gates has donated $250 million since the start of the pandemic. Then there's the Digital ID 2020 project, which aims to provide the world's estimated 1 billion undocumented people with digital ID and health cards. And finally, research conducted by MIT to inject vaccines in a special ink subcutaneously, a sort of tattoo that can only be seen using infrared light and can tell who is and isn't vaccinated. Now, those 3 projects do all exist, but they have nothing to do with each other. And what's more, injectable GPS trackers are technologically far-fetched, as the microchips still require rechargeable batteries to be picked up by satellites. So unless you want to lug another battery and charger around, You'll just have to rely on your telephone and not your vaccine to keep track of your movements.
So, Vera Jourova, we saw one example there of fake news that's really been widely spread around Europe, around the world. How much responsibility can the European Union really put on platforms for fake news? These things aren't true, but they're not necessarily illegal. Are we creating a ministry of truth?
We are not creating ministries of truth, but we have ministries of health who should be able to deny these, sorry to say it like that, but stupid news and messages, which the people have a tendency to believe, especially when they are frustrated or when they have a tendency to have some paranoid feelings. But we decided not to be passive, and normally, and you can read it in our documents and plans, this information is not seen as illegal content, but harmful content. We can do a lot of things about that, but not censorship. We are not introducing censorship, but the COVID time is extraordinary time, which requires extraordinary measures. And we decided to make an agreement with the platforms that they remove the manifestly clear disinformation which can do harm to health or lives to people. And so they are doing that. They are reporting that they have removed a lot of different accounts and messages. This one is circulating indeed. There are many others, but believe me, if we didn't take action, it would be really an avalanche.
I'd like to move on to another issue at the top of your list of responsibilities as Commissioner, upholding the rule of law in EU member states. There was an EU summit in late 2020 where the heads of state and government agreed to put new conditions relating to upholding rule of law on transfers of EU funds to member states. This is being reviewed by the European Court of Justice, but members of the European Parliament are keen for this to be applied as soon as possible. Do you have a date in mind for when this will start to be applied?
The new regulation, which I'm happy about because we needed such tool, and we owed it to the European taxpayers that we will protect their money better. So the regulation is in force since 1st January this year. Now we will wait for the decision of the European Court of Justice, which will bring necessary legal certainty as for whether the Commission and the Council can have such procedure which might end up in a sanction, a possible sanction against some state. And at the same time, we will be assessing the states, especially the states where we have concerns regarding rule of law. We will work on the guidance to provide full clarity on how the process will go on. You asked about the timing. I believe that we will receive the judgment of the court still this year. The earlier the better, but I cannot influence the court. It's fully independent body. And soon afterwards, the Commission will take necessary actions.
Last year, Viktor Orbán, the Prime Minister of Hungary, took exception to your comment that he's building a sick democracy, in your words, in Hungary, called for your resignation. His government says that Hungary is being unfairly singled out and that this rule of law conditionality is just picking on Hungary and Poland as well.
Well, I have to deny this accusation that we are only looking at Hungary and Poland. We have just finished, or recently finished, the mapping of the situation of rule of law in all the member states. This was, by the way, something also Budapest and Warsaw wanted us to do, to have an overall comparison, not only to focus on these two countries. And I insist on that assessment that in Hungary we have rightly so a lot of concerns, especially now regarding the freedom of speech and the freedom for the work of the journalists. So I said what I said. The reaction was harsh, but that's politics of nowadays.
Just one last question relating to the coronavirus pandemic and vaccines and values, I think we can say. The World Health Organization has warned about risks to fair distribution caused by rich nations hoarding available vaccine shots. The European Union, the European Commission has ordered many times more vaccine shots than there are European citizens. Is Europe guilty of vaccine hoarding?
The Commission did what we had to do. So we contracted 2.3 billion doses for the European citizens, but also the doses for those who will need it from outside. Of course, the painful thing which we have to solve is the low delivery of the vaccines to the member states, because the whole system the Commission invented or came with was that the delivery and distribution will be absolutely fair, on time, under the same conditions and prices to all the member states, all the citizens, and all that system, which is also based on values and fairness, is now dependent on the production capacities of the producers of the vaccines, and they have to increase them, and they are under permanent push from the side of the Commission.
Vera Jourova, thank you very much for being our guest on Talking Europe.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
And thanks to you for watching. Hope to see you in part 2 of the programme in a few minutes' time.